This thing is ugly, man. And I say that a bit with a smile on my face, but also like this whole Jordan-LeBron debate that's been going on now for 15 years, it's getting really, really ugly.
If you just want to go there, you know what I mean? There was a lot of players playing 82 games, period. What did Michael Jordan play at 40 years old, averaging 20? No sleep.
I know them knees are
golfing, smoking, drinking, cigar smoking, drinking, gambling, and it looked like, and he played all 82 games.
Michael Jordan sweating warm-up lines.
82 games. Hey,
he did play
82 games.
He did play in 82 games.
As a 40-year-old man averaging 20, who gambled,
Then you say you know why? Then you say you know why though? Then you say you know why?
I know why. I'm just asking you. If you want to throw out those scenarios, let's just go through history and just rip it all apart.
You said you know why though.
Let's rip it all apart.
So if you know why and I know why, we know why.
I'm just wondering, every other sport got busted for, besides the NBA. Just
you know why?
Weird, right?
I know why. We know why.
I'm just saying, if everyone knows the NBA had a drug problem in the 80s, but nobody got caught for drugs in their system, don't that sound a little weird? You have it on record, players were gambling on games. They had drug problems, and they were shaving points in games. It is on record. FBI had to come in, but not one drug test proved it. I mean, come on now. Let's just leave it as it is and just watch the game like everybody else. Because if you want to dig, we can dig, and I can show you some pictures. I can show you some pictures of full head of hair. 3 months later, hairline gone. Buffered in a month. Out there. All I'm saying is, end of the season, like this, whole front gone. 3 months later, buffed in a month. We can, so let's not.
This thing is ugly, man. And I say that a bit with a smile on my face, but also like this whole Jordan-LeBron debate that's been going on now for 15 years. It's getting really, really ugly, and people are, I mean, because have you seen these pictures of, and I think they're distorted, but it like shows Jordan as a rookie with hair, and then they show him later in his career, he's kind of muscled up and he's bald. I can't tell if any of it's photoshopped or been massaged, but this feud is getting ugly. What's your take on Gilbert Arenas?
I still don't think this is as bad an accusation as Jordan couldn't go to his left. I actually find that more offensive than this stuff. Because, again, everyone is suspicious. Here's the thing, though, with Gilbert Arenas. He's completely ignorant here. He doesn't even have the facts right. When they're saying that no one failed the drug test, really? Tell that to Roy Tarpley. He was literally thrown out of the league. Roy Tarpley was this great big man, had a lot of skills. He failed drug tests. So many times he got kicked out of the league. The Houston Rockets had a pair of guys that were really
Mitchell
effective
Wiggins,
players
maybe?
around. Mitchell Wiggins and Lewis Lloyd. And Lewis Lloyd, Black Magic. They got kicked out of the league. This whole notion that somehow guys were not caught. You want to bet there was a lot of drug busts. Now, the question is, was it PEDs? The other thing about Jordan, in terms of his hairline, also now we're getting into hairlines, kind of like LeBron James, right? So if that's your evidence, and here's the thing, if you ever look at pictures of his father, James Jordan, God rest his soul, that looks very hereditary. The way their hairlines actually faded, actually, like, you could just tell that was something that was passed on. Now, is the accusation that James Jordan, growing up fixing appliances in Wilmington, North Carolina, was he on like PEDs too? The other thing that's really interesting is, and this is where guys like this do not understand context. The reason why there are strong allegations about LeBron is that he had close associates that were linked in a biogenesis scandal. Now, unless you could show me proof that Juanita Jordan or one of his best friends, like one of those bodyguards, was linked into a steroid mill or an HGH factory, and that they're having packages delivered. All right, like Please send to AKA Jumpman with the address, then yes. So I have not seen that happen, and I don't want to besmirch the first wife or the original wife of Michael Jordan. You're a fine lady. I'm sure you would never go to such lengths. All I'm saying is that, again, with Michael Jordan, yes, he got heavier. There's no doubt about it. He did work out. But again, it is the context in which we are making these accusations or have these suspicions, which is the big difference here.
You make excellent points, and I'm glad you did. You've given me something to think about. Having said that, I do think this is collateral damage, unintended consequences of this war going on between Jordan supporters and LeBron supporters. And obviously I'm on Team Jordan. You're likely on Team Jordan.
You think?
And part of and part of what is bothering me is the same thing that I think bothered my father and his generation. Yeah, I grew up in Indianapolis. My father grew up, knew Oscar Robertson, the whole Robertson family. Oscar had a brother that was really good too, and there was a guy named Willie Gardner who may have been more talented than any of them that could have been. But I can remember my father and his generation when we started anointing Magic and Larry as the greatest ever. They were like, "Oh, hold on, you just gonna forget about Bill Russell and blah blah blah," and we didn't appreciate, and we all well, they only had 9 teams in that era, and all those white guys played, and we diminished the era before us. And again, my father and them were like, "Man, Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double, and he was tremendous, and y'all just anointing Magic and Larry and Michael." And so maybe we did the same thing that's being done now, but it just feels different.
Jason,
that this disrespect for the 90s and what I saw with my own eyes feels different.
Look, there comes a point where everyone in our lives, we become the old barbers in Coming to America. Okay? Like, he ain't no Joe Louis. He ain't no, I mean, that's just the way it is. And I've reached that point, and I embrace it because I know what I saw was better. Couple of things here. By the way, speaking of another guy that got kicked out of the league due to drugs, Quentin Daly happened to be one of Michael Jordan's teammates for I think about a week.
Quentin Daly.
Yes, yeah, him. Actually had a 3-day run with the Lakers, and then he went to training camp, disappeared, and Jerry West had to cut him. So this whole notion that nobody got caught for drugs, it's not true. John Lucas got caught so many times, he started his own rehab center where he's helped a lot of people. Now, in terms of Jordan's game, the evolution athletically, from his rookie year to about the first or second championship, he was a high-flying guy that played over the rim. By the time he won his 3rd or 4th championship, so let's go into the second three-peat after his hiatus into baseball. If you watch his game, he's no longer this high flyer. Even though he could be, he would turn it on, but it was a much more economical game. And in the last 3 championships, the basis of his offense, for the most part, was turnaround jumpers and the fadeaway and pull-ups. He did, even when he dunked, he would make sure he just dunked it, but he wasn't putting on any posterizations where you'd be like, that's the greatest dunk I ever saw. And then when you take a look at when he was a much heavier, older guy with the Washington Wizards, it became like a national event. It was like a spotting of a dodo bird when he would actually dunk once a month on those old creaky knees of his. And I think that's another thing, again, where you lose context. His game actually did evolve where it was less athleticism throughout his run. There was almost like this natural regression of athletic skills. And he had to go out there and find ways to put the ball into the hole that had nothing to do with attacking the rim. So that's another part of that argument. Again, you could look at the stats all you want, but watch those games with the Washington Wizards. Everything was basically a mid-range type of jumper at that point.
Steve, I'm going to tell you the other thing that just bothers me as a journalist and as a bit of a contrarian and just a realist. During Jordan's era, you could publicly criticize Michael Jordan.
Yes.
I did it. I did it. I was a prominent national sports columnist in Kansas City, on ESPN, on Fox Sports, and I would criticize Jordan publicly. And and part of it was a bias. I had an extreme bias because I was a Pacer fan, just growing up as a kid. And so, we were competing against him with Reggie Miller and all of that. And so I would call him hot air. I mean, consistently in columns, I called him hot air. And the other thing, again, by late in his career, I was sympathetic, not late, but early in his championship runs, I was sympathetic to Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons. And we were allowed, the Pistons were allowed to beat him up, and people in the media were allowed to beat up Jordan. And it wasn't until Michael Jordan retired that I was like, okay, I'm over it. He's better than Magic. I want to give it up to him. And then I started celebrating Jordan once he retired. But as long as he was playing, the Pacer homer in me and I wanted him to earn it. But now there's this groupie mentality in the media where anybody that's pretty elite or at the top, it's like you can't criticize them. There's all this social media blowback. And also, because of the amount of money that LeBron James has been able to acquire thanks to the work of Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, LeBron is a media mogul who pays surrogates to argue for him. Michael Jordan, maybe Michael Wilbon and a couple other people had access to Jordan or whatever, but it wasn't this payroll thing. It wasn't all these extracurricular benefits that you got from being a Michael Jordan worshiper. And the critics were allowed to live and breathe and do their thing in the media. I want to play you this clip of Shannon Sharpe and Kendrick Perkins basically having an on-air fight. And maybe you saw this. They're having an on-air fight about who's been a groupie longer and better for LeBron James. This is unprecedented. Play the clip.
With the clip, time out. You just hopped on this LeBron train. I've been on this train since 2001. You forgot. Now, let me go take you in history. Me and LeBron played together. Me and LeBron was in the Mickey D's class. So when it comes to being an advocate for LeBron James, you just joined the family reunion. You just got you a side of the
I can't tell.
Well,
guess what?
Well,
guess what, Perk?
Nothing about advocating for LeBron.
I can't. I've never understood it with Shannon Sharpe because he's such an elite, accomplished athlete, 3-time Super Bowl winner, Hall of Fame tight end, was a serious athlete in the NFL, unquestioned accomplishments. I've never understood why he became a groupie for LeBron James other than it worked as a television stick opposite Skip Bayless. But it just never struck me as like, I've never seen an athlete do this to himself. Kendrick Perkins, marginal or journeyman NBA player, played on the same McDonald's All-American team with LeBron James. I understand it a bit more. Kendrick Perkins, neither one of these guys have the best verbal presentation, but I just can't believe accomplished, masculine athletes are debating, who has served LeBron better and longer on national TV. It blows my mind.
All I heard was, I've been on LeBron's jock longer than you. No. I've been on his jock better than you. Yeah, not exactly Cool Mo D against LL Cool J, huh? Yeah. A couple of things here. Let's rewind. First of all, I'm going to get some of your archives. I'm going to clip them out. I'm going to send them to Scap Attack. Your slander of the great Michael Jeffrey Jordan, I think this needs to be a video. Scap, if you're out there, I think this one might be worth about 15 minutes. Let's investigate what Jason Whitlock was saying about our version of Babe Ruth. This is shameful. But you're right about the criticism. I'll never forget, and I saw this a couple of weeks ago. I was doing some research. Do you remember when Michael Jordan, this was during the three-peat run, when a really rough, tough New York Knicks team went up on them 1-0, would eventually go up 2-0. But in between one of those games in New York, Michael and his father actually went to Atlantic City to blow off steam, and I think they got back at early in the morning. Never mind they had a night game. The media killed Jordan. Absolutely killed Michael, and Michael was pissed off, wouldn't talk to anybody except Ahmad Rashad. And they ran this big interview on NBC, and Michael had glasses on. Maybe his eyes were all bloodshot. And even Ahmad goes, why are you wearing glasses? And Michael goes, because I want to, that's why. And then Michael was even criticized. Get this. Air Jordans were kind of popular shoes. I've heard a lot of kids buy them. And there was a thing, maybe it still goes on, where people were being robbed and killed for them. And there was a segment of the media that blamed Michael Jordan for not doing more, as if somehow he's going to provide a GPS or a security system. Never mind the culture of people that have the mindset to kill someone else or rob someone of their property and their shoes. And somehow Jordan became this figure of, you must save our society and our culture in Chicago. That's the type of heat that he got. And compare that to the kid glove treatment that you get now with LeBron James. And no matter what he says, no one has enough blowback to say, who really did paint your walls outside your home? Why did you paint old? You're not even allowed to question that, or you're probably not going to get credentialed anymore. That's just the way it is. Last thing. The one thing that I found out is like, even with Isaiah now complaining that Jordan needs to give me a public apology. Isaiah, you are an all-time great player. I have so much respect for you. You're on my all-time NBA top 12. You'd be on my roster. You're not getting an apology, and he doesn't have to give one. Bottom line, you need to get over it. And I'm actually on your side in a lot of this. And so it's amazing to me that Jordan is now being slandered. But I tell you what's great about it, Jason, the fact he never says a thing. He moves in silence. That only adds to his mystique, in my view.
Yeah, and so LeBron people are sitting there going, what do you mean LeBron never gets criticized? What about the decision? And the decision and that first NBA Finals series with the Miami Heat, that's the last time LeBron has faced stiff, consistent criticism from the media. And I apologize for the narcissism of this, but all I can remember of people that criticized LeBron in a straightforward manner that mattered at any time was me and occasionally Bill Simmons. Occasionally,
yes.
Bill Simmons. And other than that, everybody petrified of LeBron. And Bill Simmons would probably argue that his criticism of LeBron is one of the reasons he got removed from that ESPN NBA Countdown show, is because you just couldn't do it. And I think of, when I think of this era, I think of Peter Vesey used to be the gold standard for NBA coverage.
Yes.
He would break news, and he would be very critical of the players, coaches, and whatever. And now Adrian Wojnarowski is the gold standard for NBA. He never offers a strong or interesting opinion, and he breaks the news that's handed to him by the sources that are in bed with him. And he's even less relevant now, and the people that actually control the NBA discussion are Stephen A. Smith, a pathological liar, Shannon Sharp, a Hall of Fame football player that serves as a groupie for LeBron, Skip Bayless, who's now
he's a Jordan guy.
Irrelevant, and I get and
Jordan guy
hold
though.
It that now I'm sorry, and I got to correct. Oh my God, Skip Bayless certainly criticized LeBron James, but he's quit. He jumped off the criticizing LeBron James deal 5-6 years ago. He quit. He completely pivoted because he wanted to be accepted by the hip-hop crowd. And so I do want to correct that record. Skip Bayless out there. I'm sorry for forgetting that, but he used to criticize LeBron. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.